Plug and Play is coming to New York City, and we couldn't be more excited. We have offices globally, but not New York. And so today, we changed that.
This is important because this is our first ever New York office.
It's great to see so many different stakeholders from our community in New York coming together. This is really the culmination of about 2 years of work.
We have over 300 registered guests consisting of venture capital firms, startups, corporations, economic development groups, the chambers of commerce, as well as universities around New York City.
New York City is already leading as the applied AI capital of the world. There's so much opportunity, and we want to make sure it's equitable for everyone.
And small business actually is the backbone of our New York City economy. We have the opportunity to partner with Plug and Play, so we are able to bring more really useful programs to help our small business community.
New York is an incredible ecosystem for founders and entrepreneurs and creative people, and the combination of that with the Plug and Play team and the network and the value that they're going to bring to this community is really exciting.
I mean, Plug and Play does an incredible job of bringing people together. In our role, we like to guide and advise those startup companies, make sure that they're set up for success.
Plug and Play has been instrumental in our journey, being able to have them open doors for us on the retail side, on the brand side, and then just surrounding us with great advisors and supporting us as we continue to scale the company.
Plug and Play is usually my first call, just to get that additional market insight, any industry trends that they're seeing, any help that we need. They always really do try to go above and beyond to make sure that they can meet us where we are.
New York has everything, right? It's got a concentration of corporates. It's got a concentration of tier 1 academic institutions. It's got a concentration of capital. I like to think most ecosystems around the world have 1 or 2 of those ingredients. New York has it all, baby.
Cool, guys. So we're gonna get started with Enterprise and AI. I know it's 3:30, but we have a lot of content, amazing startups, so I highly recommend you to get comfortable. Some of you are probably wondering who is that guy with a Spanish accent on the stage. My name is Carlos. I lead the Enterprise and AI vertical here in SV, and I'm also a principal in our ventures team. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of our corporate partners, because without them, this amazing summit wouldn't be happening. So please, a round of applause to all of them. As you probably know, at the beginning of the year, we announced our AI Council, and since then, we have been getting a lot of questions about what it is, what that means. So the AI Council is a forum where enterprise leaders come to talk about different use cases, what is working, what is not working, and share best practices among the group. We have the first session happening tomorrow, and we will be talking about our latest AI survey, and we will be talking about different challenges. So for all of you coming tomorrow, please get some rest. Come with an open mind, because we are going to be asking all of you different questions. I want also to thank all of our members. I know we have a few here today. I see Prasant, I see Alexander. So thank you very much for coming tomorrow. And if any enterprise corporates or LP is interested in joining, please let us know, and we will definitely consider. I briefly mentioned our AI survey. So this is an ongoing survey that we are doing across all of our corporates. If any of you want to complete it, all the responses are going to be anonymized, and you will have access to the results. I want also to welcome our newest corporates to the ecosystem, NSW and SAP. It's amazing to see new corporates coming in, and obviously this is amazing for all the startups, because they keep getting value from our ecosystem. With that, I'm going to pass it over to Janine Lefleur from SAP to talk about our partnership. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Thanks for having us, and just want to give a big shout out and thank you to Reza and Saeed for having us, as well as the entire Plug and Play family. My name is Janine Lefleur, and I'm the head of strategy and operations for SAP Labs US. Thank you. Now, my hope today is to inspire you with how we tap into areas of transformative innovation across the business. We'll talk a little bit about SAP and SAP Labs US, We'll then dive into our SAP Business AI as well as customer testimonial, and then we'll end by talking about this exciting partnership that we have with Plug and Play. So now SAP has a goal and a mission. That mission is to help the world run better and improve people's lives. We've had this mission from when we were founded over 50 years ago, and the mission holds just as true today as it did back then. We want to be able to help all of our customers, whether they be small startups up through large enterprises. We want to help them build and run their mission-critical business processes with confidence and with ease. And so we focus on things like supply chain, customer experience, human capital management, finance, and more. And we do all this at real time and at scale. Now, in addition to helping with mission-critical business processes, we want to make sure we're helping deliver impact. So we focus on things like sustainability and helping reduce the carbon footprint and helping our customers build more meaningful connections with their end customers around securities, compliance, controls, trust, and more. Now, to double-click a little bit into our global footprint and our US-based footprint, we have 99 of the world's 100 largest brands as our customers, and together they generate over 84% of total global commerce. We have over 68,000 US customers across 25 different industries. Together they generated over close to $15 billion in America's revenues for us last year. And from the perspective of SAP Labs US, this is the division that I'm part of, we're a cross-functional matrix organization of over 5,000 individuals strong, focused on product and development roles across over a dozen offices. We have a goal to help build a collaborative culture and infuse innovation across all the products that we deliver. And so we do this by focusing on three key things. We focus on the best workplace experience and cross-pollinating, working with our HR and facilities to make it the best place for our employees to come to the office. We focus on product excellence and development pride and making sure that our engineers have the ability to shout from the rooftops of all the great work they have going on so they can learn from each other. And, as important for today's conversation, we focus on the tech ecosystem. This is where we help cross-pollinate our key internal stakeholders with key external stakeholders over global thought leadership. So we look at things like accelerators and VCs and startups and academia and some of the large partners as well as customers and policymakers. And so we do all this with a goal to help with our AI business transformation as well as cloud transformation. So, speaking of AI transformations, as you know, there's an AI transformation happening all around us. And at SAP, we want to focus on this new era of enterprise management, which means we want to help our customers with their changing needs and also their changing challenges, of course. So back in the early 1970s, we started with transactional systems. And today, these have morphed into these robust business applications that drive those mission-critical business processes we talked about before. And similarly, in the year 2000, we focused on reporting and analytics, and you heard about big data and cloud, of course. And today, we have our SAP Business AI platform, as well as things like our Business Data Cloud, which helps tie together our applications, our data, and our AI in a unified way. And that brings us to today, where we have systems of AI and systems of AI agents. And this is, of course, to help us with simple to complex automations and making sure we're thinking through all of our business needs, our customers' business needs holistically. So in order to be successful with these three, we have to have a solid foundation. So we focus on the virtuous flywheel. So this starts with applications, then goes to data, and then goes to AI. So the robust applications, of course, produce the business data that gives us intelligent insights. These are unified, trusted, and enriched data that then go to make the AI smarter. The AI smarter AI goes back into the business processes to make them more robust. And of course, the more robust business processes make the applications, strengthens the applications. So this is our virtuous flywheel. And many companies focus on one or two of these. We focus on all three, which helps give us a differentiating advantage. Now, we have 34,000 customers already using our SAP Business AI. And I'm not a marketing expert, but I can tell you that I'm very proud of a lot of the logos we have on this slide here today. Microsoft, IBM, PricewaterhouseCoopers, Accenture, Coca-Cola, Gibson Guitars, and more. And these customers are already starting to see substantial improvements with using SAP Business AI. So the rule of 30 is holding true here. We're seeing an increase of 30% in productivity and a reduction of 30% in costs across many customers. So let's double click into one of our customers called Blitzer. This is an example of how we use emerging technologies in the form of embodied AI, also known as physical AI or robotics, and agentic AI solutions along with startups with our customers and how we innovate. So Blitzer is in the extended warehouse management space, and they are building out products which require supervised visits on the floor, and they want to be able to increase production and throughput, so they are using robotics in this case to help move towards 24-hour, 7 days a week productivity, which helps them, of course, increase throughput and reduce some of their costs. So let's see what this looks like. So this is where we have robotics, and the robotics are being able to be used with the embodied AI. We're using Joule here, which is our agentic AI solution, and this is our orchestration layer into AI, which gives us an AI user experience layer. It gives us the AI application layer, as well as the AI foundation layer, which is our operating system, into how we manage and govern our AI. So in this case, Joule is talking to the robot, asking it to see if it can complete an order picking task. The robot uses its cameras and able to successfully complete the task and say that it was putting it into the right bin because it passed inspection. So now it communicates back to Joule, and Joule is able to say that this is 100% order picked, and they are successfully able to complete the throughput on the floor, and this is able to go to that 24-hour, 7 days a week, which increases that productivity. So this is an example of how all this comes together with our startups and emerging technologies. And this brings me to the most important and exciting part of today, and that is, as Carlos mentioned, talking about our new partnership with Plug and Play. So SAP is partnered with Plug and Play because we have a goal, and that's to help bring our US tech ecosystem to our global lines of businesses, wherever they might be in the world. So what better way to do that than to partner with Plug and Play with their extensive startup portfolio, as well as their domain expertise and knowledge in emerging technologies and tech trends. So we also want to help bring the startups to our customer base to help drive innovation and have our customers see some of that early technology sooner. And we also want to make sure we're helping fuel breakthrough ideas. So we focus on SAP's tools and platforms as a way to help welcome the startups into our fold and help get their technology to the end users, to our lines of businesses, and to the end users, to the customers faster. And we also take an experimental-based approach. So we focus on things like prototypes of are the possible, and then we move to alpha-level services, beta-level services, and then, of course, general availability. And this is in addition to the linear-based product management through roadmaps that we have as well. And finally, this partnership is also to help accelerate AI innovation. So we want to help use this technology to bring some of this AI and agentic AI experiences to our customers faster, and also to co-innovate and co-create with Plug and Play and the startups, because we feel like this is a great partnership to be able to do that. So that's what we have here today, is to announce this partnership. We're really excited about this. And if you have any questions, please feel free to find me after the show, or feel free to reach out to me. Thank you so much for having us here today. And again, thank you so much to the Plug and Play family.
Good evening, everyone. So I want to thank you a lot for kind of coming over here. I know it's a long trip for many of you coming outside of California. So thank you. It's a pleasure to meet you. For those of you I haven't met, my name's Amit. I'm head of our enterprise and AI vertical. And normally, I give our annual AI presentation every November, actually. So it's a change. This is my 5th one, and so it's new for me to give it in the summer. And the reason why I did that is because we're hosting our inaugural kind of AI council session tomorrow. So a lot of our partners are in town. We also have our FinTech and AI Fund AGM. So a lot of our LPs are in town. So I decided to kind of move it up and do it in the summer instead, which means that I actually gave an annual AI presentation just 6 months ago. So I really struggled, I'm not gonna lie, I really struggled on kind of like thinking about, what else new can I say that hasn't changed? And, I think, I think so normally like I like to share the stuff that I have been reading, the stuff that I've been debating about with our partners and my team. So I think that's what I have. So of course we always value your feedback. So if you enjoy the presentation, if you find it insightful, please let us know. If you don't find it insightful, keep your opinions to yourself. But we are changing it up a little bit. So instead of just, much better. Instead of me just riffing for 40 minutes, 45 minutes, it's actually going to be longer. It's going to be at least 60 minutes. So I hope you are ready to, sit tight and pay attention. But I'm changing it up. Last year in November, I said that 2026, it's going to be about adoption. And we really wanted to present case studies. So I'm really excited to say that we're actually going to be presenting 3 different case studies on stage. In fact, last year in November, just off the whim, I called up Brightstar and I said, hey, Brightstar, I want you guys to present next year. And they kindly did. I know it's not always easy to come on stage. You have to deal with your legal teams and your comms team and whatnot. So I really am appreciative that you're willing to kind of share your learnings with the team. So thank you for doing that. But I guess, they say that, when you want something really bad, the universe makes it happen. So the universe made it happen in this case, or many of you did. That said, the universe, we really want Arsenal to win the Premier League, which they did today. So the universe did make it happen. And at the moment, I feel like the universe is listening to me. So universe, we want to bring the trophy back home. So we're going to bring it home. For those of you who don't know that reference, it's coming home. That's our reference in the UK for the World Cup trophy. So if you're listening, I really need UK to win and not lose in the penalty shootouts in the World Cup. Thank you, Jane. I appreciate you. But anyways, I'm already 1 minute in, and I've still got 59 minutes to go. But I'm going to make a claim and spend the rest of the time defending it, right? So access to the best model is not your advantage. Oh, there we go. Access to your models are not your advantage, right? Because models are converging, and the gap between the best and the rest is closing every quarter. Your durable advantage, the one that your competitors can't copy, actually comes from your systems that you build around the model, right? Your data, your workflow, your context, and your ability to learn faster than your rivals. For those of you here with us in November of last year, we ended last year with 2 questions, right? First one was, are we in an AI bubble? And if not, why aren't some companies seeing the ROI? A lot has changed in the last 6 months. So tonight I want to do 3 things. First, give you a quick read on the market. Second, go deeper on the architecture question. And third, talk about the economic shift that's already underway. But let's start with the market first. My clicker is not working. There we go. Thank you. Does it work? Yeah, now it works. Thank you. So the bubble question has flipped, right? 6 months ago, the concern was that there's billions of dollars flowing into data centers with no clear path to profitability. Today, the concern is the opposite. We may not be building fast enough to satisfy demand. Look at this quarter. Google Cloud revenue was up 63% year over year with a $460 billion backlog. Google's CEO has emphasized that cloud revenue would have been higher if they could meet demand. And Amazon was also extremely solid. Top line was up 17% year over year, net profit up 77%, partly boosted by their income from the Anthropic investment, which tells you as much about Anthropic as it does about Amazon. And speaking of Anthropic, SemiAnalysis estimates that Anthropic has gone from $9 billion at the start of this year to over $44 billion in revenue, with inference margins expanding from 38% to over 70% over the same period. So in kind of essence, like Anthropic has basically doubled its revenue nearly every 8 to 9 weeks this year. No company in American history has scaled organic revenue this fast. The boom is in full effect. Demand for tokens is definitely not the problem. Right? The reason is structural. We're shifting from a world where software is priced by the seat to a world where it's priced by consumption. And in the agentic era, there's effectively no ceiling. A single developer used to represent $20 to $30 a month. Now, that same developer represents hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a month flowing to Frontier Labs because their agents are running for hours, making hundreds of model calls, doing work that used to take teams of people. That's not a SaaS business. It's an entirely different model. Now, I want to take the bear case seriously. There was a sharp piece in The Atlantic by Rohit Kama worth surfacing. The argument is this. Yes, the growth numbers are real, but they're heavily concentrated in one vertical, software development. And if the boom stays in coding, then by the time these data centers come online, there won't be enough customers to fill them. So hyperscaler CapEx is sized for demand that spans all knowledge work. And so if only 30 million developers on Earth end up paying the real token bills, the math doesn't work. Data centers get overbuilt, margins compress, losses cascade, the bubble pop will be big. That's the bear case, and it deserves your attention. The signals that invalidate it are token consumption in non-coding verticals, so consumer, finance, healthcare, and enterprise see replacement deals priced on outcomes rather than licenses. We're starting to see both, but it is early. Here's why I'm not in the bear camp. SemiAnalysis also argued something that I find compelling. If you look at all knowledge work, right, it's including coding, it's made up of 4 basic components. You consume information, that is to read. You apply existing knowledge, that is to think. You produce a structured output, that is to write. And you check that output against some standard, that is to verify. Coding has properties that makes it the easiest first vertical, right? It's got abundant training data, objective verification, but that doesn't make coding unique. It makes it the proof of concept. An MIT study tested this directly. They evaluated AI systems against roughly 3,000 real-world white-collar tasks, things like building a product launch plan, drafting a legal brief, and in mid-2024, the leading models completed about 50% of the tasks that would take humans 3 to 4 hours. A year later, that number was 65%. The authors estimate that AI systems will be able to complete 80 to 95% of text-based tasks by the end of this decade. And adoption is already mainstream. Ramp's business spending data shows that the share of American businesses with at least one paid AI subscription has gone up from about 25% at the start of 2025 to over 50%. So the total addressable market isn't just developers, it's all white-collar work. Now let's get to the second question, right, from last year. Why aren't some companies seeing the ROI? Now, in November, I told you that this wasn't a model problem, it was an organizational problem. And we laid out 4 imperatives. Let me hit them fast because I think they're still relevant today. First one was organizational design. We said that AI isn't just automating tasks, it's reshaping roles. So winners should be redesigning around capabilities and building federated operating models that blends governance with agility. And the stack is shifting from monolithic LLMs to a portfolio of domain-specific models and agents wired into the enterprise ecosystem or systems. Maturity requires a composable architecture and AI-native workflows. Bolting AI into kind of existing legacy processes doesn't work. And third is experimentation velocity. The advantage now is speed, right? The old model was, let's pilot this in Q3, we'll review in Q4. The new variant is, let's test 3 kind of models this week and scale the winner. Move from annual planning to continuous funding. Make small bets. Run rapid killer scale decisions. And teams bidding with prototypes instead of PowerPoints. And finally, don't treat AI as a series of pilots, but as a continuous capability, build feedback loops, monitor performance, and make scaling responsible by design. And in November, as part of the experimentation velocity, we also argued that enterprises should be thinking about creating their own sandbox environment, their own digital environment to be able to test and prototype rapidly. And we also argued that you can either build your own, or you can work with a sandbox as a service provider. So I'd like to invite one of our long-standing partners, US Bank, on stage to talk about how they've actually put this into practice with NayaOne. Please welcome US Bank and NayaOne.
Can you guys hear me okay? There we are. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. This is a full circle moment for US Bank and NayaOne. We actually met NayaOne at this very event 2 years ago. So I'm excited to share what we've done in 2 years together. We've done a lot of proof of concepts, and I'm going to share this use case that you see here. I should start with introductions. I'm Laritha. I'm Vice President of Digital Innovation at US Bank.
And I'm April Curley. I'm the Director of Strategic Accounts with NayaOne, and happy to be here sharing the stage today with Laritha and how we've done some work together.
So we started with a really simple question that all of the enterprises in this room are familiar with. Why does it take so long to scale technology at a large enterprise? So we started with one small use case, and very rapidly, within 6 months, we had assessed 15 different vendors on the NayaOne platform, and we were moving 2 of them into production. So the end of last year, we, with the help of Prashant, we launched a hackathon, and that has shown us the power of our partnership and the power of leveraging a partnership and leveraging technology that actually sits outside of the enterprise to give our teams access to tools and technologies that they wouldn't otherwise have had access to. So we launched a large-scale AI hackathon at the bank. We had 40 different teams. Each of them were given a sandbox with all of the tools, all of the technologies that they needed, and over 5 days they developed within their sandboxes. They had access to over 350 different technologies that they would not have had otherwise within our framework, within our guardrails, which is about 349 technologies that they wouldn't have had otherwise. They probably had access to one within the bank. So we gave them full reign to build, to test, to iterate, to put together presentations that they then shared with our executive teams. Products that were going to be able to move into production very quickly. So we were able to quickly see within a week the value of giving our teams access to tools and technologies before we bring them into the bank, because then we can validate them before we bring them in. We know they're safe. We know that they're secure. So fast forward to this specific use case. I called my friend April, and I said, hey, we've got a problem that we need to solve, and we need to spin up a sandbox really, really quickly.
Yeah, so first I want to give you a little bit more context too. So how we work together and what the need is that we're solving for is redefining the POC. And what that looks like in this day and age with AI and emerging technology is a lot different than it used to be. We can't use the same legacy systems. We need to be moving faster, because if we're not, we're being left behind. And so when the bank comes to work with us, like NayaOne, it's about having an external sandbox that's air-gapped, that doesn't compromise your customer data and allows you to do and iterate things really, really quickly so that you can test AI before you actually buy AI. But this particular example also highlights another way that you can leverage NayaOne. That's looking at a build versus buy kind of solution. What we've seen and what Laritha was sharing was about hackathons. What Amit was sharing about tokenization is becoming this real thing, where I'm sure you guys have seen the headlines too, that engineers are now asking for tokens as a part of their hiring package, and they're getting more in tokens than they probably are even in salary, which blows my mind. But the point in all this is then we were able to use this particular use case where they wanted to look at credit documents, generically speaking. But the idea was, how do we look at the end customer state? What is the customer going to get out of this? So while AI adoption is great, I would say we need to be at AI execution, and this allowed them to do that within 3 days. And so what we were able to do then was say, okay, the engineer got in, worked through the use case, and in less than 3 days, 50 hours kind of to be exact, they were able to come up with a clear prototype that then the business said, we want to, now that we visualize it, how do we actually adopt this? How do we align? How do we move forward with confidence? And that's where we got to in the end.
Yeah, so you can see the stats up here. 3 hours saved per credit package, 30 to 50% reduction in manual effort. That is huge. It allows our really intelligent folks that are analyzing this to spend their time on the human interaction, to spend their time on making better decisions and making better decisions faster. And then 20 to 40% faster credit memo prep. What that does for our customer is it expedites the speed that they get their credit, right? So really, really quickly, we were able to learn, yes, we can build something, we can build it faster, but we were also able to analyze multiple technologies at the same time across 3 days. Now, I'm not saying everybody could do that in 3 days, but we just have really smart folks that were able to do that. And it was the sandbox that gave us the power to do that, the power to deliver it. Having an air-gapped space that's safe and secure, where we know what we need from the beginning, and we can test it, we can iterate, and then we can deliver it to our business lines, and we can deliver it better and faster with more security.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I'm going to be a little diva and get changed every time I come on stage, so I hope you don't mind. For the rest of my time, I actually want to go deeper on the infrastructure alignment, the top right box, and in what it looks like under the hood. Let's actually start with a thought experiment. Now, imagine you spent the last 18 months building out an AI agent for your finance team, and state-of-the-art frontier model under the hood, beautiful interface. Day one in production, you give it a simple instruction: figure out our revenue this quarter and decide which customers should get a discount. Now, here's what happens. The agent doesn't know that revenue inside your company means ARR, excluding implementation fees. It doesn't know that you give 15% discount to specific healthcare clients because their procurement cycles are brutal. It doesn't know that your CRM data hasn't been updated in over a month. It doesn't know that this specific revenue-related decision will require CRO approval before it goes anywhere near a customer. So it does what AI does when it doesn't know something. It guesses confidently, and it gets it wrong. And that's the gap between an AI demo and an AI system. And it's why, despite the hundreds of millions of dollars invested across this room, some of you cannot point to AI that is actually compounding value in your business. Production-ready AI is not a model. It's a compound system. It has 5 layers, and each layer serves a specific purpose. Think of it like building a house, right? You need the foundation before you build the walls, and you need the walls before you can add the roof. Same principle here. At the bottom is your data foundation, and everything sits on top of this, right? If your data quality is poor, nothing else matters. This layer includes your data pipelines, your data governance, and observability. Above that is your model portfolio layer. And notice I said portfolio, not just model, right? This is where your LLMs, your small language models, and your specialized models live. Above that, orchestration, the brain that routes and coordinates everything. Above that, applications, what your users actually see and touch. And on top, with visibility into everything below, is your governance. Includes observability, security, compliance, evaluation. The key insight is this: each layer creates a leverage for the layer above it. Right? So a strong data foundation makes your models more accurate, a robust model makes your orchestration more powerful, and a good orchestration makes your applications sophisticated. This is how you get compounding returns. You skip a layer, and then you can cap how high you can build. Now, here's the thing. When most companies talk about AI strategy, they're talking about the box in the middle, the LLM, the reasoning engineering. But that box is going to be a commodity. It already is. Your edge is actually built around the model, not in it, right? Routine tasks, undifferentiated workflows, basic content generation, public data in only insights, those will commoditize. Everyone gets them. Your moats are everywhere else, right? Proprietary data and the compounding loops that capture it, embedded process knowledge, customer relationships and brand trust, network effects, regulatory infrastructure that takes years to build. These don't live inside the model. They live in the system around the model. And that's where this room either wins or loses the next decade. So let's look at the data foundation first, right? Everything sits on top of this. And this is a layer no competitor can copy. Because what does it include? It includes your customer history, your manufacturing telemetry, your transaction logs. Most of you are sitting on more proprietary data than the sum of the frontier labs have ever seen. The question is whether it's queryable in real time or is it buried inside PDFs? And the short version is this, right? You need real-time data pipelines, vector database, governance, quality monitoring by this layer. Databricks, Snowflake, Fivetran have solved these kind of problems at an industrial scale. So buy the foundation and you build differentiation higher up the stack. I think the one thing is kind of definitely has helped and changed is the modern data stack now ingests unstructured data natively, right? Slack, emails, documents, transcripts, all of it. That matters because that's where your real institutional knowledge lives. And I spoke about unstructured data actually 2 years ago on this stage and what it would bring for the next generation of applications. But hold on to that thought. I'll come back to it when we talk about enterprise context. Once your data is flowing, you feed it into your models, right? The model layer is where most of the hype lives. And here's a shift that's happening right now. We're moving from a world where everyone uses the same general purpose model to a world where an enterprise will run a portfolio of models. And here is something that most of you have not fully internalized. Even the most expensive AI subscriptions, the $200 a month plans, have not been covering the actual cost to serve you. The labs have been subsidizing the difference with venture capital. And that era is ending. Token consumption has gone through the roof. Coding agents now run for hours at a time. Goldman Sachs reports that companies are blowing past their AI inference budgets by orders of magnitude, with inference cost in engineering now approaching 10% of total headcount cost. So the business model built for chatbots is now collapsing under the weights of agentic workflows. This is not a blip. It's a cascade, and it's going to reshape how every company in this room budgets for AI. This is a classic Uber playbook. Charge less, get you hooked, and then jack up the prices. And so what do? The old model was you build a pilot in a sandbox, and then you retrofit for production. This doesn't work with generative AI. The integration requirements, the latency, and the cost constraints break the production model entirely. The new model is reverse. Designed for production from day one and then work backwards, and designed for cost intentionality from day one. That means a multi-model architecture, routine work goes to cheaper, smaller, faster models, complex reasoning escalates to frontier models, and sensitive high-value use cases should be going to humans. AT&T figured this out the hard way. 8 billion tokens a day force them to rethink their orchestration and cut the cost by 90%. So you don't use one model, you use a tiered portfolio. Using a frontier model for routine tasks is like using a Ferrari for grocery shopping. Completely inefficient. Match the model to the task. And the lesson from Intercom is the sharpest illustration of where this is heading. Instead of routing everything to a massive frontier model, they built a domain-specific small language model for custom kind of service. And Intercom's custom SLM beats frontier models from OpenAI and Anthropic on specific customer service tasks. It runs at 1/5 the cost, and they've now surpassed 400 million in revenue. The lesson is one line. Generic models are trained on the internet. Specialized models are trained on your business. And so in narrow domains like customer service, legal, the specialized models are starting to win. So plan for it. Build a portable architecture, because the model that you use today won't necessarily be the model that you use tomorrow. So plan for portability, not loyalty. And the clearest example of this is the Walmart OpenAI partnership. In October of last year, Walmart announced a massive partnership with OpenAI. 5 months later, they abruptly ended it. Why? Because a general purpose model couldn't handle real-time retail inventory. They saw 3 times the lower conversion and scraping failures. So Walmart pivoted. They embedded their homegrown chatbot Sparky directly inside ChatGPT and Gemini, right? Keeping full control of the shopping experience while accessing hundreds of millions of potential customers. It's built on open source models. It's trained on decades of proprietary Walmart retail data with a multi-model routing under the hood. The result? Walmart themselves have claimed that Sparky users spend about 35% more per order than any of the shoppers. Now, for enterprises, the question's not whether you should partner with OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Microsoft, or anyone else. You almost certainly will. The question is, what do you own and what do you rent, right? So you may rent the model capability, you may rent the distribution, and you may even rent the infrastructure. But you should be very careful before renting out your customer experience, your proprietary context, your decision logic. This is where long-term value accrues. Now, this is the layer that separates AI demos from AI systems, and it's your competitive advantage layer. Again, the model is not the product. The infrastructure around the model is. Two products using exact same models can perform completely different based on one thing: how robust is the system around it. Orchestration is where you kind of encode your business logic and intelligence. So it's not just, how you use AI. It's how you use AI, not just kind of which AI you use. And orchestration or real production AI is not one model call. It's actually many. And to route to the right model call, you need the orchestration. And orchestration is about making multiple kind of AI components work together reliably at scale, right? Simple extraction gets SLMs, complex reasoning goes to frontier models. And let me break down kind of what this means in practice, right? Let's take a customer support ticket. It might require for you to classifying the issue using a fast, cheap model. You'll retrieve relevant documents using a RAG system. You'll draft a response using a frontier model, and then you'll check it for for policy compliance using a specialized model, and finally routing it to a human for approval. 5 model calls. They all have to work together. They have to handle failures gracefully. They have to retry, fall back, and escalate. But here's where it gets interesting, and I think this is one of the most important things that I want you to leave with tonight. Even if you build the perfect orchestration, so even if every model call works flawlessly, your agents can still fail because they don't know your business. Remember that agent from the thought experiment, the one trying to decide which customer should get a discount? It failed because it didn't know what revenue meant at your company. It didn't know about the healthcare procurement carve-out. It didn't know which data was stale. It didn't know what required CRO approval. That knowledge exists inside your company. It lives in the heads of your VPs of sales, your finance team, your legal counsel. It lives in Slack threads and email chains and in a decision that was made in a conference room 2 years ago. And so it doesn't live in any database that your AI can query. So AI doesn't fail because it's dumb. It fails because it lacks context. Your AI knows the internet. It doesn't know the business, right? And so every project you deploy starts fresh. Every lesson learned evaporates. Your agents have no memory of what worked yesterday. Solving this is the single highest leverage architectural decision every company in this room can make, right? The solution has a name now, and it's called Context Graph, and it was introduced by Jaya Gupta and Ashu Garg at Foundation Capital. Now, so a context graph is a structured, queryable map of how your enterprise actually decides. Not just what your data says, but why decisions got made, what alternatives were considered, who approved them, and what worked, right? Knowledge graph captures content, what exists in your business today. Context graph captures the reasoning, how and why your business operates. Think of it as a missing memory layer for your AI agents. It records that revenue means ARR excluding implementation fee. It records that specific healthcare clients should get a 15% discount and why. It records that revenue-related decisions will require CRO sign-off. It records that 2 years ago, your team rejected the same case for specific reasons. And so now when an AI agent picks up a task, it doesn't start from zero, right? It queries the context graph and it learns from the institutional reasoning that's already inside your company. And so this is what gives agents an intelligence. And last November, we said that, we emphasized that it may take a decade for agents to reach full autonomy. Building out an enterprise context will be a key enabler here. Now, since the post by Foundation Capital, every vendor all of a sudden has become a context company. And the idea isn't exactly new, right? We've been talking about data silos and tribal knowledge for decades now. What's new is that LLMs can finally extract decision artifacts from unstructured collaboration data, from your Slack, transcripts, tickets, emails, and makes that knowledge searchable. Remember that modern data stack market map that I showed earlier with the unstructured data? It is the ability to ingest unstructured data that enables companies to now build out the enterprise context layer. That means enterprises can finally begin capturing not just the output of work, but the reasoning behind the work. And so this has major implications, strategic implications at the application layer. Now, Ashu Garg at Foundation, he also kind of highlights that consumer platforms like Meta, Google, Amazon, they built extraordinary compounding loops by capturing behavioral signals, right? Every click, every search, every abandoned cart, every scroll became data that actually improved the application. Enterprises software never had an equivalent loop because enterprises decisions don't happen on a screen, right? They happen across teams, your sales, finance, legal, in conversations and exceptions and approvals. You can't capture that on a click. And so context graphs creates a possibility of a B2B compounding loop. Every decision becomes a signal, every exception becomes a precedent, every failure becomes a training data, and every workflow becomes smarter over time. So companies should be thinking about building out their enterprise context at the function or department level, right? Starting customer support, starting procurement, starting sales operation, start anywhere decisions repeat and where context matters. One quick example from a startup that actually saw this early. While everyone is talking about context graph now, I actually want to give credit to Kahuna Labs founder, one of the early people's actually building in this category. He just had a different name for it. He called it troubleshoot mapping. They built what a context graph looks like in production for technical product support teams, right? Reconstructing the full troubleshooting journey of every ticket from Slack, Zoom, Jira, and turning it into a queryable map of what was tried, what failed, what worked, and why. Their AI automatically learns from every past interaction so the next engineer doesn't have to start from zero. This allows product support teams to apply contextual intelligence in real time, improving resolution speed, consistency, and overall efficiency, right? That's the model, right? Build a memory layer and your agents will get smarter with every decision that your company makes. And so if you sell a B2B software or a hardware, you should definitely check out Kahuna Labs. Now, a final word on layer 5, governance. Now, if your AI is touching customers, money, or compliance, governance is not a checklist. It's an operational capability. Audit trails on every decision, performance monitoring, bias testing, security design for AI. You're testing for 4 things, right? Is it working? Is it compliant? Is it safe? And is it getting better? You can't scale what you can't observe, you can't improve what you can't measure, and you certainly can't defend what you can't explain. Now, last November, I said that you should follow. Most enterprises should think about having a hub and spoke operating model, right? Core capabilities like compliance, risk, AI, and data platforms should be managed centrally by the hub. Business units should innovate at the edges. The connective tissue is the role that most of you don't have, which is the AI translator, embedded in each business unit, fluent in both technology and P&L. The one thing that I want to double click on is the governance piece. The instinct here is to write a 500-page policy document and route everything kind of through a central committee. That will kill speed and agility of your organization. You should be thinking about creating a minimum viable governance framework from day one, right? A marketing copy generator does not need the same review as an agent that's touching customer money. And push the authority down to the AI translators by the risk tier of the framework. But we'll cover governance more tomorrow at the AI Council. I know some of you have very strong opinions about it, so I'm looking forward to that discussion. Now, I'd like to invite Brightstar on stage with Thread AI to kind of talk about how they're putting agents into production.
We look forward to the next outfit change, Amit.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Matteo De Sabata, VP of Strategy and Corporate Development at Brightstar. I'm sharing the stage today with Thread AI. If you want to introduce yourself, Angela.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Angela McNeil, the co-founder and CEO of Thread AI.
What we want to share today is a concrete enterprise AI adoption story, not a concept, not a pilot, but something that brought impact very quickly to our corporation, built with Thread AI and brought by Plug and Play. So let's start. Quick context on Brightstar. We are a global leader in lottery, serving almost 90 lottery customers across 6 continents. We provide retail and digital solutions to the lottery business. Our operating environment doesn't leave room for experimentation. When we deploy AI, it must run within enterprise processes and it is expected to be compliant and perform with a set of defined boundaries. The use case we brought to Thread AI was in a core business process. Across our markets, business opportunities get published across thousands of different websites. in different languages, with different submission rules, with different formats. Our team was covering all of this, but the sheer volume and fragmentation was taking a lot of time from very skilled people that were focusing on mundane tasks instead of thinking about strategy and how to address those opportunities. We saw then an opportunity to redirect those capacity towards higher value work, and that's when Thread AI came in place.
So a little bit about sort of Thread AI. So we provide critical infrastructure to build AI-powered agents and workflows for sort of like core processes where the margin of error, where 95% is too big of a success rate, too small of a success rate. And so before we looked sort of across sort of our joint work for solutions, I think collectively we were sort of very deliberate about requirements. It had to work across sort of global sources. It had to handle complex real-world data. It had to deliver value in weeks, not quarters. And it had to fit into existing frameworks and workflows and how folks on the ground were operating and building today. And those were sort of non-negotiable bars, and they sort of shaped that conversation from the start.
Perfect. And I think, yes, you cover all those requirements that we had. We wanted a global product and solution that was integrated with our processes and was going to handle complex solutions. And finally, we wanted impact fast. We didn't want to pilot it and then test it and do it over months. We wanted impact over weeks. And that's where the partnership really, really delivered on.
So we focus on, for us, automating complex sort of cross-system, high-volume workflows, the kind where traditional tools tend to fall apart. And global RFP discovery is a good example of that. And rather than, when we started working together, rather than sort of us leading with sort of generic platform demo, we worked with Brightstar on a tight sort of outcome-driven POC. So automating, monitoring across these sort of fragmented procurement sources, again, across these different languages, these different requirements, handling all these different unstructured inputs, and most explicitly building with sort of production in mind, not just sort of a proof of concept. So all the infra was production grade.
So results came in very quickly. Within 6 weeks, we had live workflows running. The system took over the high-volume discovery work scanning, filtering, surfacing, and prioritizing relevant opportunities across thousands, as I said, of websites and markets. And that freed up time for our team to focus on what they're actually best at, evaluating opportunities, shaping responses, and making strategic calls. Decision makers got clearer signals and were able to make better decisions on where to invest their time and how to increase the ROI of our team's time and our investments. So AI delivered what it makes expert team faster, not redundant. At Brightstar, every deployment starts from the same place: a defined problem, a measurable outcome, and a partner who can operate inside our enterprise boundaries. That's not aspiration, that's our working model.
And for us, from where we sit, this work was accelerated and successful because Brightstar had clarity. They had clarity of vision, they had a clear challenge, they had clear success criteria, willingness to commit, dedicate resources and time, and with that clarity of outcome, you have, again, a very clear metric with you can gauge success and then immediately sort of deliver value against. And none of this would have been possible without Plug and Play bringing us together. So shout out. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Actually, I do want to give a shout out to Brightstar because the partners that I enjoy working with the most are the ones quite honestly who don't treat this like a zoo, right? They come in, they have real intent, and even if if it's new for them, they're willing to learn and engage. And I think so. I highly commend Brightstar. I think I've really enjoyed from that perspective, and I've seen they've had engaged with multiple companies and have hopefully we have more success stories further down the road. And one more thing, I mentioned the importance of like orchestration and building for production for day one. One of the biggest feedback I get around agentic AI is that while it works great in a sandbox environment, it breaks apart in production. And so, the feedback that I've gotten for Thread is that it works great in a production environment. It's scalable, it's customizable. And so it's been great to kind of see their success. So for us in our ecosystem, if you're a good company, you should have no problem scaling across our network. So if you have an agentic AI strategy, you should definitely be talking to Angela and Maya. Raise your hands. So talk to them. You can find them if you have an agentic AI strategy. All right. Architecture covered, 5 layers with context as a connective tissue that makes the whole system intelligent. Now I want to shift gears because even if you build all of this perfectly, you still need to understand the economics of what's happening, right? AI is causing the most dramatic shift in unit economics since cloud computing. And if you don't understand this shift, somebody else will use it to disrupt you. Let me ask you a question. What happens to your industry when the cost of your core operations drop by 30 to 90%? That's not a productivity question, it's a strategy question, right? Because when cost changes this dramatically, business models change. And this is what's happening right now across multiple industries, right? Customer service costs are dropping from $12 per interaction to 50 cents. Software development is getting 30 to 55% faster. Drug discovery timelines are compressing. When costs drop this dramatically, it doesn't just make things cheaper, it unlocks entirely new business models. When customer service costs 50 cents instead of $12, you can afford to give every customer a white glove service. When development cost drops by 90%, a 5-person startup can compete with an incumbent engineering army. When legal review costs $5 instead of $500, a small business gets the same legal protection as a Fortune 500. Healthcare is the most striking example, right? Because here, AI isn't just reducing cost, it's improving access, right? Industry estimates suggest that radiology screening costs could fall by 90+% per scan. That's not a cost story, that's an access story. Emerging markets can finally afford radiology at scale, and there are startups who are already deploying for TB and stroke triage in India and Africa. This is where AI economics and human outcomes converge. So here's a strategic question. When AI cuts your cost in half, do you keep prices flat and pocket the margin? Do you cut the prices and grow market share? Or do you wait until your competitors force that decision for you? 3 scenarios, they're not mutually exclusive, and your industry will play out somewhere on the spectrum. Scenario A is margin expansion. You use AI to reduce costs, you keep prices stable, and then you improve profitability. And that is what most incumbents will do first. Scenario B is disruption. A new entrant designed around AI economics from day one comes in and undercuts you by 50%. But here's the punchline. They may still have higher margins than you do, right? This is what Robinhood did to brokers. Went from launch to a market cap of roughly 32 billion within 8 years of founding. It's what Revolut did, now serves 70 million customers with 6 billion in revenue. The pattern is this. AI native entrants don't just compete on cost, they redesign the cost structure. And scenario C is deflation, right? Long-term competition drives prices down and customers capture most of that value through lower prices and better service. Look at cloud computing. AWS costs have dropped dramatically since launch, and most of those savings have flowed through to customers through continuous price cuts. Why? Competition, customer pressure, new entrants. This is a long-term equilibrium for any markets with low switching costs. The mistake is assuming that your industry will stay in the first scenario forever, right? In the short run, incumbents may capture margins. In the medium run, AI native entrants will attack. And in the long run, competition often gives value back to the customer. So every company should be asking, are we using AI only to improve margins, or are we willing to use AI to redesign the business model before somebody else does? Now, history may not repeat, but it certainly rhymes. So I want to leave you with one historical pattern, because I think it's the most useful frame for what's about to happen. Robinhood launched zero commission trading back in 2013. They reached 1 million users by 2016, and incumbents did not see them as a real threat. It took 6 years for Charles Schwab to become the first major incumbent to eliminate trading fees. This move wiped out hundreds of millions in trading revenue overnight, and other competitors had to follow within days. Nubank, Wealthfront, Revolut, each attacked with a lower cost operating model and a better digital experience. Nubank's cost to serve is about 80 cents per customer. Traditional banks are at $200. That's a 250x structural cost advantage with a 33% return on equity and 0 physical branches. Wealthfront charges 0.25% fee compared to the industry average of 1 to 2%, whatever that may be. And they're managing $94 billion in assets. They aren't trying to squeeze margins. They're weaponizing their low cost to serve to acquire market share. And in fact, Wealthfront just actually launched a new mortgage product where they're offering interest rates 50 bips below the national average, right? And so, these companies did not simply use technology to become slightly more efficient. They actually redesigned the business model. That is the pattern to watch with AI native companies. They will not just be incumbents plus AI. They'll be companies fundamentally designed around a different cost base, and that's what makes them dangerous. They can charge less and still make more money. They can serve a smaller group of customers more profitably. They can personalize at scale. They can operate with fewer people, and they can move faster because their operating model was designed for AI from day one. That is a disruption window, and in many sectors, that window is now open. I shared Intercom as an example. They built their own SLM. They're actually one of the first companies to even introduce outcome as a pricing model, and they're now rebranded to Fin, which was an AI product which came out months after ChatGPT went public. So they're disrupting themselves. Now, I want to be careful here. I don't want you to leave thinking incumbents they always lose. They don't. In fact, incumbents have enormous advantages, right? Customers, data, distribution, regulatory licenses, capital, brand trust, and operational scale. But those advantages only matter if they're activated. Last year, we held up JP Morgan as an example of a multi-billion-dollar incumbent that successfully rewired their operating model. This year, the cleaner case is Walmart. Walmart hit $1 trillion market cap earlier this year, and they got there by reinventing themselves. They built Element, their proprietary ML platform, and Wallaby, a retail-specific LLM. They turned 4,700 retail stores into automated fulfillment nodes using a self-healing supply chain. They generated over $55 million in savings, drove massive growth, reduced out-of-stock items by 25%, and eliminated 30 million delivery miles. Walmart stock is up roughly 200% over the past 5 years, far outpacing Amazon over the same period. They didn't just buy AI, they embedded it into the logistical infrastructure. These are multi-billion-dollar incumbents who chose to rewire and retreat, right? They're the proof that the incumbent path is still open, right? But it requires intentionality, it requires architecture, it requires conviction from leadership, because the return curve is not always immediate, right? You need to invest in the data infrastructure before the applications look magical. You invest in governance before the scale benefits show up. You invest in context before agents become truly intelligent. You invest in the workflow redesign before productivity becomes visible in your P&L, right? There is a J curve. Let me bring this home. Same slide I'm showing you again. AI will commoditize intelligence, but it cannot commoditize everything. Your moat is your proprietary data that isn't on the internet. Deep domain expertise, high trust customer relationships, regulatory licenses, and increasingly your enterprise context that captures your decision logic. If your business is built entirely on writing generic copy or generating boilerplate code, your moat is zero. You must lean into your physical and relational assets. One more pattern to flag. Sequoia Capital has argued that AI enables a shift from selling software tools to selling completed outcomes, going after the labor budgets that used to be spent on services, right? In legal, they don't just sell software to help a lawyer draft. They draft the contract. In customer support, they don't sell you dashboard. They resolve the ticket. In healthcare, they don't sell you a workflow software. They complete the administrative or clinical support tasks. In tax, insurance, recruitment, the pattern is similar. This is a major shift because they're selling the work itself, not the software to do the work. So they're replacing agencies and services companies, BPOs entirely. So I want to leave you with one thought. A year from now, every company in this room will have AI everywhere. So the question, won't be whether you're using AI. The question will be whether your AI is improving every quarter or whether you're rebuilding the same pilot for the third time. The difference is architecture. build the foundation, build the context layer, and build a moat. Next up, I'd like to invite our partner Brunel, one of the global recruitment firms, to talk about how they're leveraging AI to kind of reinvent themselves.
Cheers. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Alexander van Dijk. I'm heading the Digital and Innovation Department for a company called Brunel. We're big in professional workforce solutions globally, mainly in renewable energy, in conventional energy, mining, automotive industry, and a couple of more industries, amongst them also defense these days. And we're trying to give you some perspective on how we innovated on our recruitment process.
Cool. I don't need an introduction. I'm the same guy, but just with a jacket. Yeah. I have to admit that you are one of my favorite corporates to work with. Not only because of you, but also because of your team, Mark, here in the audience. So Amit is talking about like how companies are becoming AI native service companies, and last year you announced Project Neo. So for the people in the audience who hasn't seen the announcement, what it is and why is it that important to you?
Yeah, so to announce Project Neo, I need to rewind a bit towards 2022. Then the total digital department only had to focus on websites and on channels. That's the only thing that we did. And actually in that year, we also invested in connecting our new marketing automation tool that was from cm.com, I think, at the time. And actually that was the first automated channel that we had at that time. So then in 2023, I think when GPT had their first billion users, then we also started investing in a couple of AI solutions. So that was really good. And after that year in 23, we also delivered our Databricks data lakehouse. So at the end of that year, we had marketing automation, we had Databricks data lakehouse, and we had several scattered AI solutions in place. Fast forward to 25, somewhere I think in April, we had an innovation program with each other, and we actually had a goal with ourselves that we want to fully automate the recruitment process. And we called that Project Neo in that time. So actually, we started there, and we saw we actually also only wanted to test this with ourselves, you know, in order to make sure that can it be, or is it possible? Is it possible to fully automate that 100% recruitment process? So Neo started there, and actually quite fast, you know, when we started there, agents came along. And then knowing that we already had a lot of AI solutions scattered around the place, then it was actually quite easy for us to tie all of those solutions and actually 100% automate the full recruitment process for us. And that, you know, that was really important for us at that time. And which one is it? This one? Oh, yeah. And then actually we were ready with the fully 100% recruitment process. So how did it work? Really simple. So we retrieve information from the portals from our clients with an agent. Then we actually make a vacancy text out of that with an agent. Then the vacancy text is handed over to our matching algorithm that actually creates matches and actually uploads the best matches there. Then we do outreach with Pop AI, that we actually do a conversation with them with either email or with WhatsApp. And then actually, you know, when available people come back to us, you know, then we create a resume from that. And those resumes are actually going to a human in the loop, because by EU AI Act, we need to have a human in the loop. And they actually upload it again after quality assurance to the portal of the client. So we have this all in place now, and we're actually really proud of that, and we're making quite a difference on this place. And why did we do this? Because I know that this is also the question that we talked about. So why do we do this? 5 things fast. Obviously, the recruitment market is also being commoditized, so you need to stand out to your competition. That's easy. Speed is of the essence, for sure. Once you come too late with the candidates that you're proposing, your competitor is already there, you know, and you lost your client. The other one is, how can you possibly ask a sales consultant to filter on a database of 1 million specialists to take out the best match on a certain assignment? You're not going to do that. AI is going to do that for you. The margin is bizarre under pressure. Also, our clients' margins are under pressure. That's reflected also on us. So we also need to make sure that we cannot humanize all of the process anymore. And that's why we actually invested in this AI fully automated process. And last but not least, the human time. And that's really important. Why the human time is really important there. Why? Because all of our colleagues in the sales departments are actually spending their valuable time only on repetitive tasks. So we want to take away those repetitive tasks so they can actually focus on the things that are really important, the touch points and the conversations with the clients and with the specialists.
One last question. We'll have a minute left.
No worries.
You said you have become kind of like a semi-AI native service, or you can call it like AI native service. What is the outcome you have seen and the impact, ROI?
Twofold. You can see the numbers here. 60% of all of our connected clients or clients are already handled by Neo. So that's really important. 1 of the 4 are spot on match. And knowing that we already push forward 6 candidates, so there's always a spot-on match, and that's really important. We are live in a couple of countries now, and at the end of the year, we are live in all of the regions within Brunel. So yeah, we're doing quite okay. We're not there yet, but the only thing that's because you also sometimes need to bring a challenge. The only challenge is not so much now the technique, although the technique is really going fast, right? But that's more change management, we would say. So some of the people are adopting it within our company and they're really successful, and some of them are lagging a bit, we need to help them, but change management is definitely something that we need to focus on.
I want to go back to the previous slide and ask you,
why?
What is the role that Plug and Play played here?
I thought so. Well, I thought I skipped that one, but no.
Out of time, but I don't care.
So I'm out of time. I see 000, but I can spend some time on Plug and Play, so that's good. Apart from the deal flows and the summits here and the real nice conversations that we have, I think that in April 2025, Amit and Nate, they came to Amsterdam. And actually, we had a conversation about innovation. And actually, we saw that we were only trying to innovate in the existing environments. So yes, we were going to make some change, but it was only incremental, like pinpricks, right? So then and there, we decided to go beyond. And with that leap, we actually decided to start Neo. Well, and the rest is history. But we are really proud of the partnership that we already have for 4 or 5 years. And definitely made quite an impact there. And also after Neo had launched, you were still, calling us and trying to help us with whatever kind of other solutions. So we really appreciate that. So yeah, thanks
I
for
love
that.
this example because I think it basically provides the audience more context on how we provide value beyond the startup introductions. It's also kind of like thoughtful leadership, AI implementation guidance, and it goes beyond just kind of like startup introductions.
If I can give some feedback or takeout, that I have with the partnership that I have with Plug and Play, it's this. And I think that's really important. Some people see an innovation partner as only a vendor. But if you have a true conversation with them, then you can actually show them as a thought leader and as a thought partner. And that's actually what Plug and Play is. And that's what we really appreciated. And only because of that reason, we also came to the leaps that we're making. And actually, we're investing in it as quite intensively. So I'm really happy about that.
Cool. We need to get out of here and go back to the regular programming.
Thank you very much.
I actually remember that trip. I remember we had I had a presenter to your CEO and a few of his direct reports, and then we were huddled into a room, and that's where Project Neo was like, all right, there we go. All right, I can trace it back now. So I can't explicitly take kickbacks, but a couple. All right. Before I close, I know I've overused my time. One more thought. Every transformational technology displaces some work and it creates new work. A short history first. In the early 1800s, English artisans called Luddites smashed weaving machines because their skilled labor was being replaced by cheap labor working with machines. They weren't anti-technology, they were anti-displacement. Today that term gets thrown around at anyone who's skeptical of AI. I think that's lazy. The original Luddites had a real grievance. The question is whether this moment requires the same response or a different one. And the fear is real, because the people who are building the actual technology are amplifying it, right? Anthropic's CEO has spoken publicly about the possible white-collar bloodbath. Mustafa Suleyman, who's the head of Microsoft AI, he's spoken or said that most white-collar jobs will be automated. These aren't fringe voices, and the layoff headlines kind of reinforce it. But these companies won't admit that they overhired during the pandemic when capital was abundant and due to low interest rates and government stimulus. And the macro data right now isn't matching the layoff kind of narrative. Unemployment is at 4.3%. Wall Street Journal reports that AI created 640,000 new jobs between 2023 and 2025. And new college grad hiring is up 5.6%. Now, Jeevan's paradox says that when a technology makes a resource more efficient, total consumption often increases, right? So AI is making coding cheaper, so we're building more software. And engineering job openings are at a 3-year high. But not every role is elastic, right? Customer support is inelastic. There's a finite number of support tickets. And so if one agent does the work of 10 people, you're not going to get 10 times more tickets. You get fewer support workers. So the right question isn't, will AI eliminate jobs? I think net, AI will result in the creation of net new jobs overall. But some roles will certainly be impacted. And the right question is, which roles, how fast, and what replaces them? The sharpest thing that I've actually read on this is a recent Ezra Klein piece in the New York Times. If you don't know him, he wrote the book Abundance. Highly recommend it if you haven't read it. But let me paraphrase his core point. In a world where AI displaces 8 million workers, may actually be harder to handle than a world where it displaces 80 million, because mass disruption forces a structural response. And I think COVID is a good example here, right? We built unprecedented income support overnight when the shock was total. Partial disruption is what we have historically tend to ignore, right? We tell those workers it's their fault, a few months of unemployment insurance, maybe some retraining options, and then we move on. We saw this in manufacturing towns in Ohio. We saw this in coal country in West Virginia. We saw this in retail. So the most likely scenario is the one that we're least prepared for. So what should we do? This is where I think the private sector has a real role to play. The book Apple in China makes a striking argument. Apple has trained over 28 million workers in China since 2008, more than the entire workforce in California. Not just basic manufacturing, advanced techniques, robotics, coding, leadership development, right? The author called it a one-company Marshall Plan. It transformed China into a high-tech kind of manufacturing powerhouse. And we've seen the downstream results in EVs, batteries, and electronics today. That's the scale of what private sector workforce investment can do when a company decides to take it seriously, right? Compare that to where the United States is on workforce development today. Roughly 0.3% of working age Americans are registered in apprenticeships. Germany and Switzerland are many times more. By the end of this decade, 3 out of 4 jobs will require some kind of training beyond a high school diploma. Apprenticeship is a strong pathway. Meta and CBRE, they have just launched a program, right? Training thousands of fiber technicians across the US to build Meta's data center infrastructure. Companies in this room have the resources, the proximity to the work, and the incentive to do this, right? I'm an optimist about what AI can make possible. I'm sympathetic to the cost to the smaller group of population that it may impact. At the end of the day, they're humans. They have livelihoods, right? Both can be true. The leadership question for this room is whether we sit on the sidelines of that second story or whether we get in front of it. Thank you. Now, I've been here for a long time with obviously case studies, but this is not a one-man show. So I want to give credit where credit is due to my team. I'm really grateful. I love debating you, even though I'm right most of the time. But I appreciate your feedback, and nonetheless, It's been great. You know, our team is expanded. Nate's leading New York. Carlos is leading SW. We've brought exceptional talent like Lakshmi and Ipsha, who, by the way, my AI Council members. You'll meet them tomorrow. And so I'm grateful. Thank you. You know, last year, I said that we're going to do two things this year. You know, one was we're going to establish an AI council. So I'm really excited to meet the folks tomorrow. This AI council is not meant to be just throwing presentations at you. It's meant to be about how you are applying AI at your respective enterprises. Tangible case stories, closed door, and we want to share learnings with each other. So I'm really excited for that. And I want to thank you very, very much for taking part in this. And I hope that we can only grow this. And the second thing I said was adoption, 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 which is why we shared 3 case studies today. I'm going to make another, since the universe wants to make it happen. I'm going to say the next 6 months, I'd love to focus on creating playbooks, right? Implementation playbooks. I think 80% of the playbook can be repeated. Of course, there's edge cases that's unique to your enterprises. So I would say, Lakshmi, Ipsha, new assignment, we need to create playbook for the next 6 months about how to actually get this into practice and then into adoption. So hopefully the universe makes it happen and we can talk about it in the next summit. But I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Very impressive. You could sit through all of this, but you know, please don't leave. We've got amazing startups. And if you're building in anything that I said today, we're deploying capital. We want to invest. Like I said, if you're a good company, you should have no problem scaling across our enterprise network. So please reach out if you're raising. Thank you.
All right, welcome to one of the highlights of our summit, the Startup Pitch Sessions. Over the next few minutes, you'll hear from 9 innovative companies. Please give them your full attention and your warmest welcome. Echelon is the AI platform enterprises use to run ServiceNow, giving IT teams AI agents that autonomously handle ServiceNow delivery, operations, and modernization at unlimited scale. Please welcome to the stage Echelon.
Awesome. Hey everybody, I'm Rahul. I'm founder CEO of Echelon, and enterprises run ServiceNow with Echelon. So how many of you here work at organizations that use ServiceNow? Perfect. What about SAP? Workday, Oracle? As I keep saying these names, there are more and more hands raising up. So we actually asked Claude, So we gave Claude the names of all of your organizations and asked it to kind of deduce if you actually use ServiceNow or not. Came back with a very precise answer of 71.2. Who's the 0.2? Don't ask me. But 90% of the Fortune 500 run on ServiceNow. If I expand that to SAP, Workday, Oracle, they're the backbone of enterprise operations, right? But they all have one problem, right? They're too hard to build, maintain, and operate on a day-to-day basis. And especially now, in the age of AI, when your engineering team can take any dashboard or any feature and just build it out in a matter of hours, changing something on SAP or ServiceNow takes weeks. The first week is requirements gathering, doing a bunch of interviews with your process experts. The second week is giving things to the offshore team and hoping that they read what you've written and answering all of those questions at 9 p.m. Pacific time, right? And week 3 is doing endless cycles of iterations in QA because the business doesn't like what the team built out, right? And this takes weeks and weeks for any simple change. And unlike your engineering teams that have Claude, Codex, and Cursor, what you have is Infosys, TCS, HCL, and Wipro, right? Echelon is here to change that. We are an AI workforce. So what does that mean? We're a suite of agents that help you build, maintain, and operate your most critical systems in the enterprise, your systems of record. So that's ServiceNow, SAP, NetSuite, Workday, Oracle, and blimey, even Epic. So let's go deeper, right? So what are we doing exactly, right? Let's take ServiceNow as an example, right? So with ServiceNow, the Echelon AI agents can help you all the way from architecture and building something new. So when you have a business process, designing that to actually be codified within ServiceNow's proprietary architecture. Building means generating codes, building those flows, doing the configurations, things that takes weeks and weeks of manual effort, right? We can also handle all of the beautiful technical debt that's sitting in those platforms. So modernization, so kind of looking through things and actually bringing them back to modern standards so your business can actually move. And those pesky bugs and troubleshooting and operational upgrades that you need to do every year, Echelon can handle that as well. We do all of this through a very intuitive AI agent interface. So you can simply come in and upload the business process or requirements. We have users uploading pictures of their whiteboards from their workshops. No requirement is perfect, so Echelon actually looks through that and asks you questions to clarify what you intend to do, understands what is actually in your instance, and helps you actually build it out entirely. So we're kind of building this layer that helps you operate, build, and configure, and keep changing your systems of record end to end. So let's actually talk about the impact we're having on some of the world's largest enterprises. United Healthcare is Fortune 3 company that works with us today, right? So they're in the midst of doing what we call a modernization or re-platforming project. So they're taking their legacy customer support stack and rebuilding that on top of ServiceNow, right? They contacted us at the start of the migration because they needed a solution that deeply understood their ServiceNow architecture, thought about what needs to be migrated and brought over to modern standards, and actually do the build. So with Echelon's AI agents in the mix, we're able to actually get them live in 3 months instead of the original timeline of 8 months. So that's 60% faster. Let's talk about HubSpot, the CRM company, right? So with CRM, right, with HubSpot, they use ServiceNow internally for every single function. It is their biggest enterprise platform, more than HubSpot itself. So they use Echelon agents as an extension of their existing ServiceNow team. And over the past year, we've added about 4 FTEs worth of capacity to their team. They're able to get actual real business requirements done and dusted on the platform. The last use case I'll talk about is Fox. Fox is a media company that's based on the West Coast. They spent over $1.5 million on their managed service provider to get 3 resources that took 3 weeks to do anything. Echelon was able to actually replace that contract and be able to do things in an autonomous manner to the extent that their platform owner says that Echelon is the default way for them to operate and deliver on top of ServiceNow. We're very grateful to have some of the world's most largest and regulated enterprises using Echelon daily today. And trust me, your IT team will thank you for having this conversation. So if you're interested in learning about how Echelon can help accelerate your systems of record, please feel free to reach out to me. So I'm Rahul, I'm the co-founder CEO, or scan that QR code and then book a demo. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Rehearsals, which uses AI-generated customer simulations to help companies test and predict how people will respond to business decisions before they go live.
Hello, everyone. All right, let's dive into it. So, my name's Liam Bolin. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Rehearsals. Before this, I was at DeepMind, where I shipped the first Gemini API and co-founded Project Mariner. Rehearsals builds twins of your customers, so you can ask what they want in just minutes. It's a marketing person's dream. So if you're in marketing, I want you to really pay attention to this and go to our website and check it out. But let's dive into this. So today you can build websites in 5 minutes, right? Your engineering team can go out, you can make a website in 5 minutes, but these marketing decisions, they still take forever, right? They cost millions of dollars, they take months, or you have someone just going to ChatGPT and getting some AI slop out and making a big decision based on that. That's not what you want to do. But if you had the opportunity to ask your customers what they wanted, and you could do that any minute, any second, for just 10x the speed and 10x the cost of the price reduction there, what would you ask them? And what we do is we just focus on marketing. We focus on these 6 topics. We focus on conversion. Why are people not converting on that page? Why are they not checking out? We focus on pricing. We understand why people like to buy things, why they don't buy things. The consumer is very emotional. Competitive analysis. Your competitor's doing something. What if you could talk to their customers and ask them why they're liking that product or not? Messaging and creative. We're natively multimodal with my past experience at Gemini and DeepMind. So you can upload videos. We have customers using it for visual merchandising, on like a shoe rack or something to determine like how we should place something in retail. retention. Why are people leaving? You see the chart, it's going down and to the right. Why is that happening? Why is the most important question? And you can't answer that today with analytics. And audience understanding. If you're doing concept testing, you're trying to figure out who is the market for this product we're building, or we have a mature product in the market, what are the customers that we're missing? So we just focus on these 6 things. If you're not in this category, you can not pay attention to me for 3 minutes. That's totally fine. But what we do is we give you the power to run simulations, thousands of simulations of twins, of real people, and we'll talk about that in a second, of real people with qual depth and quant scale in, I gotta update that slide. It's a little bit less than 18 hours, but I say it's like Amazon same-day shipping. You get it the same day. And these are tough decisions, right? We were able to predict, for example, Disney Plus, when they came out with an ad-supported tier and they jacked the prices of the better tier, we were able to understand and predict how many people would churn, how many people would go to that ad-supported tier, and how many people would just take the price, right? And we did that with 92% accuracy, and that's the difference here, is we're very transparent with our accuracy. We do these public evaluations and baselines, so we're very transparent here, and it's 3 steps. You talk to our voice agent as if it was your best consumer insights team. It's in Slack, Microsoft Teams, it's in ChatGPT, it's in Claude, it's an MCP tool. Start off with that, and we run the most insane simulation here where we burn so many tokens, we create questions, we create cohorts, we talk to those digital twins, and you get the results in a collaborative Google Doc or a slide that you already know. So here, it's the most beautiful user interface in a B2B SaaS product you'll probably ever see. You can just ask, you talk, it's going to come back with questions, and you're going to be off to the races. You're going to get results back the same day, and it's going to look like this, where it's multiplayer. You can collaborate. You can tag the agent. You can go deeper. It's a document you can share. Our team of mostly colleagues of mine from DeepMind, what we focus on is building out these clones. So we build out this proprietary cloning model where we interview people, we talk to real people, tens of thousands of people, we give you a stadium of humans, and you choose which one you want, and we're going to say it's 92% accurate to what they would say in real life. So the first rehearsal's on us. Oh, shoot, we're going to skip back. Oh, maybe not. There we go. Runrehearsals.com. I'm Liam Bowling. The first one is on us. Think about a problem, reach out to me, and let's chat. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you very much. Next up is Hypercubic, which is an agentic AI platform for automating development, maintenance, and modernizing legacy enterprise systems running on COBOL and mainframes. Please welcome Hypercubic.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sai, founder and CEO of Hypercubic. At Hypercubic, we're building agentic AI for COBOL and mainframe modernization. And just to set the context here, a lot of you might not believe this, but COBOL still runs the global economy today across various different sectors. Today, it processes over $3 trillion in transactions, 800 billion lines of code in production today across finance, government, insurance, healthcare, retail, and more. But today, the challenge right now is actually there's a huge amount of shrinking talent pool. The average age of a COBOL engineer is about 55, and most universities no longer teach COBOL. And there's also a massive retirement wave happening today, which means that you might have seen news like this where the New Jersey governor is requesting the expertise of 6 people who still know COBOL. That's an exaggeration, but you can understand how critical this situation is today. But in 2026, we now have a new window to understand these legacy systems at scale. And that is AI. With AI, we can now reason over the millions of lines of COBOL, making modernization finally scalable and lower risk. So just to go through the process of a modernization journey, here's the entire spectrum. We start off with system understanding, extract out some business logic, interview the experts, do the code migration, and then finally test and decommission the mainframe. And so today, a lot of the consultants and SIs would do this work manually. And so what we've done is look at very deeply all of the services work that's being done today and try to productize them using domain-specific AI. And so across these different spectrums, we built out various different AI products for us to enable us to do this efficiently using AI. So now going deeper into each of these products that we have, starting off with HyperDocs, we ingest your complex COBOL legacy code, and then we come up with a fully human-readable structured blueprint. And so now, for the first time since 1970s, you have a fully readable blueprint of your COBOL systems. Previously this was completely unreadable mess, essentially. Now, code is only half the problem. The other half of the problem is really the institutional knowledge stuck inside people's heads. So for that, we have HyperTwin, which allows us to do AI-driven interviews to extract out COBOL domain expertise, where we ask very targeted questions for someone like Richard, who's been working on the systems for 30, 40 years. And then with this, we can create a knowledge base out of Richard that is now permanent for your enterprise. Next, we have Hopper, which allows AI agents to operate these terminals. In the middle, you could see that is a green screen terminal that would typically be used today to run these machines and interact with them. Now we built a fully agentic layer on top of them, where, as you can see on the right, you can simply chat in natural language, and an agent automatically goes and does the work. We did some benchmarking, and now you can cut 2 hours of workflows to 30 minutes, and an hour of workflow to basically 20 to 15 minutes. And lastly, our flagship product is called Hyperloop, which allows us to do verifiable code migration. So on the left, you might have some source code running COBOL and DB2, and we can come up with new data structures, design patterns, and do code re-architecture and testing. And finally, we can move that to a modern cloud-native application that might be running Java with Oracle DB hosted on Azure. Or we can even do custom implementation of SAP and Salesforce, for example. And all of this boils down to this business impact here, which is a significant compression of timeline. 80% headcount reduction to do this work, 90% lower cost per line, and 5x faster time to value. And lastly, we're working with one of the largest banks in the world today in South America, where we're modernizing 50 million lines of COBOL using our Hypercubic agentic system. And we're both ex-Apple engineers that are now building this platform. Thank you so much, and would love to work with you if you have any COBOL or mainframes actively running in your enterprise today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next up is Rootcause, which is the platform that makes it scale from one-off projects to hundreds of decisions. Please welcome on stage.
The largest delivery company in the world came to us and asked, how can we stop driver accidents? How do you answer a question like that? GPTs didn't help. So now I'm going to show you something big. Built by a team of PhDs, it's new, it's deep tech, and it will change the way we understand the world. Rootcause is a new type of explainable AI. Rootcause is causal inference. Yann LeCun, Geoffrey Hinton, Yoshua Bengino won the Turing Prize for LLMs. A few years before them, Judea Pearl won the same Turing Prize for causal inference. Causal inference finds cause and effect within existing data, without a controlled study. It proves that A causes B. It finds the real-world model. So let's go back. The best companies make the best decisions using causal inference. But it takes them an army of PhDs and a lot of money. Rootcause changes everything. Built on new math, new statistics, a completely different stack using causal graph theory itself. It produces human-readable insights. Rootcause explains what is happening and why for anything. What's causing churn? How to optimize inventory? How to forecast demand? Rootcause makes causal AI usable, scalable, and inevitable. Rootcause gives you a digital twin of your business. That means Rootcause gives you a superpower. Ask any question, and Rootcause gives exact answers, explainable answers, with proof. The kind of proof you can take to a CEO to back a multi-million-dollar bet. Each digital twin gives you many ways to analyze and develop insights. Real companies are already using Rootcause to optimize strategy, to optimize real-time tactics, and improve forecasts. The world's largest delivery company, that's DHL. They wanted to know what was causing driver accidents. Rootcause showed them it wasn't aggressive driving, it wasn't weather, it wasn't lack of training. Rootcause proved it was the number of minutes since the last rest break. The right insight is worth millions. This is what Jan LeCun means when he talks about a real-world model. He says a real-world model is a system that predicts the consequences of actions, how an action drives a future state. So, what's the magic? How are we doing this? Reach out and we'll explain. We'll walk you through how Rootcause looks at your data, finds patterns, and creates an understanding of cause and effect in your business. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Please welcome to the stage Rapidfort, which is the first software attack surface optimization platform. Stage is all yours.
Thank you. All right, you only control 15% of your software. The other 85% is open source or open source dependent. And it's got a lot of bugs in it, mainly security bugs. AI compounds this issue because AI increases the amount of software that's developed, while at the same time increasing the security risk and security vulnerabilities in that software. The requirement that your teams have, you have a DevOps team and a security team. The DevOps team wants to increase innovation using AI. They want to reduce their costs using AI, while at the same time, your security team has the mission to reduce risk, reduce attack vectors, and eliminate vulnerabilities. In some ways, you might say these two things are in conflict. But there is a solution. You can start at intake with images that have near zero CVEs. And you can also bring those into the system and determine within your software which images, which packages, which files are actually being used, and remove those. And ultimately, you want to take a look at the runtime system and continuously detect and protect the software in that runtime system, because new CVEs come out every hour. Rapidfort has this solution today. We start by taking a look at your environment and determining which CVEs are really relevant to you. Are you running on Windows? Well, the Linux CVEs are not going to be relevant, for example. Then we take all of your images and we determine which images have near zero CVE pin-for-pin compatible alternatives to them that we have created. And you can drop those in. And then ultimately, we analyze your runtime environment to determine which images and which files are actually being used. You're probably not using the Bluetooth interface, so why do you have that file running? It's an exposure point. And then finally, we are able to actually eliminate up to 99.9% of the CVEs in your software through this process, and then continuously maintain that environment. Rapidfort is the continuous threat elimination solution for the software supply chain, And I invite you to take a look at our free complimentary Mythos Readiness Assessment. So if you've got software, your teams are running software, you know people are running software, they likely have open source, click here, we'll run the assessment for you and determine what your exposure is. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Risotto. Risotto automates IT support by resolving tickets contextually via existing communication tools.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Risotto, an AI-native ITSM. And thank you for having me. It's a privilege to have a few minutes of your time today to tell you about what we're building. If you need to remember us, just remember we put the IT in Italian food. But I'm curious to start, who here has heard of the term IT ticket deflection? Does that ring a bell for anyone? Well, for years, IT has been sold this story that this was the solution to lean IT teams drowning in support requests. And I'm here to share that in my experience for years, IT was lied to. And if you think about it for a moment, what is IT ticket deflection? What does it actually imply? Like, how do you calculate time to resolution on a deflected ticket? And how do you know that that issue was actually solved or if the employee just got frustrated and went away? And for those who have tried an IT ticket deflection tool, I'm curious, did it live up to your business outcomes or did the actual time and resource savings seem underwhelming? Was the bot kind of dumb, difficult to set up and maintain? Well, in my experience, and my co-founder Alex, who previously led IT engineering at Dropbox and Gusto, the answer to all these questions was yes. So we built Risotto, which is an AI-native ITSM that augments your existing system and rapidly automates up to 70% of IT issues in days, not months. And we do it by focusing on the use cases that matter and having opinionated, kind of pre-built AI-native workflows for the most common issues: software access, password resets, general knowledge questions, and deep opinionated integrations with the 6 most important tools, which are chat, ticketing, knowledge, identity, MDM, and HRAS. And if you use any of the tools on the screen here, you could be a good fit for Risotto. But we go beyond those tools. We can automate really anything using our natural language workflow builder. And the results are very impressive. Gusto, one of our customers, they were automating 50% of all IT tickets within only 3 weeks of implementation time. And CIOs love Risotto's ability to improve the ratio of support staff to employees. But I'm not a slide guy, I'm a product guy. So let's take a quick demo. Analyze our IT tickets. What can we automate? No surprise, lots of access requests, password resets, general knowledge questions. Risotto has staged some automations. Access requests, including approvals, time-based access. We connected to the corporate knowledge base. Now let's do an Okta password reset. This one will verify the employer's identity via a push MFA challenge to their mobile device before resetting the password. Let's see how it might work in Slack. Sarah's writing in, Risotto manages the ticket, confirms her identity with a push MFA challenge, and then closes the ticket automatically. That's an auto-solved ticket, not a deflected one. What about a more complicated example, like a vendor procurement workflow? Build me a runbook for a new vendor request. Get the vendor name and some other information. Get approvals from InfoSec and procurement. Create the supplier in Coupa. Start the standard MSA workflow in Ironclad and route it all back to ServiceNow. Here's the workflow. Here's the runbook, including all the API calls needed. And let's see what that might look like if a ticket comes into Jira. Hey, Risotto, I need to get a new tool approved. Risotto gets the information, routes it for approval to the right departments, creates the supplier in Coupa, the MSA in Ironclad, syncs it all back to ServiceNow, and closes the ticket. If you don't have Jira, here's what that might look like in ServiceNow. Same type of idea. So if you're interested in automating your help desk in days, not weeks, reach out. We can help set you up like we've done with Gusto, Instacart, and many others. We give free pilots and free demos. You can get a demo right here or find us at tryrisotto.com. Thank you. Hope you have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thank you very much. Next up is NextData. which provides an operating system for managing autonomous data products for AI and analytics.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jamak, founder, CEO of NextData, the operating system to make enterprise data AI ready at AI speed. Enterprise data has a big problem. While every other layer of the tech stack has been becoming easier, faster, and cheaper, network, security, compute, and storage, data management has becoming more expensive, harder to do, and takes longer. On average, Fortune 500 spend 18 months to get value from their data and spend about $1.5 million on every single data asset. The root cause of the problem is systematic. It's a fragmented, segmented, manually handled supply chain of your data management, from ingestion to processing to modeling to governing, layering semantic, and now layering context. We are here to change that. We're changing data management from a storage-centric, manually curated data processing to an autonomous data product that is domain-centric and shares data based on your domain specificity in multiple modes and automatically. You can connect NextData to any source of data in your organization, whether it's in Snowflake, Databricks, ServiceNow, or wherever it is, and we create a layer of autonomous data products that share that data and its domain context to AI or humans. And we do that without compromising governance and safety. Every data product runs and enforces computational governance automatically. Let's look at it in practice. You connect NextData agentic technology to the sources of your source of data in your organization. It detects the semantic definition, the glossaries and terms. It computes the data in the form that you wish it to expose, and it imposes quality checks at runtime, and you launch it. From then on, it becomes an endpoint, an API endpoint that you can direct your any agentic technology to it and have a conversation with it. Either you can have a conversation with a mesh of interconnected data products, or you can have a conversation with independent data products, and having that rich context of semantic definition and MCP APIs and lineage of the data, you can get accurate and real-time information through your agents. You can have a pulse of ROI of your data, what are you spending and what value you're getting. Every single data product is exposing metrics real time for you to measure. We ran this for one of our global customers in CPG environment, created hundreds of data products over in supply chain, marketing, and sales, and reduced the time of data to value from months to 18 days, 20x performance improvement that leads to over $1 million bottom line for the improvement for them. So what's your option today? If you want to get value from your data, connect your AI to data reliably and fast, you have two options. You either has to move your data to a single vendor integrated, siloed environment and unbottle the genie to talk to your data, or if you want to maintain optionality and have your data wherever it leads and run your compute wherever you want to, you have to build an integrated platform on top of that infrastructure that takes time, and you pay the OpEx cost of that. NextData is the other approach, is an autonomous layer, sit on top of your existing compute and storage, gives you optionality without the operational cost of building your own. We launched a product last year. We have multiple enterprise-wide deployments in finance, in CPG, and pharmaceutical. We are being pulled into the next round of AI transformations by big GSI companies like EY, Deloitte, and BCG. And if you want to talk to us, please reach out. We are a team to create a new category. We are the creators of data mesh and data products, and now autonomous data platforms to really change the way data is managed and get data to AI at the speed that AI demands. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Next up is Theo, which provides AI agents that automate service desk operations and IT management tasks for MSPs, helping technicians resolve issues faster and operate more efficiently.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. My name is Abhinav. I'm one of the co-founders of Theo. Let me just get this going. Okay. So surely all of you must have a service desk at your companies. I think we already heard from some stat earlier about 71% having service now, for example. When we talk to service desk managers, what we realize is that all of their technicians are spending time working on simple tasks like password resets and user onboardings and offboardings. And what we realize is that ultimately IT doesn't have a talent shortage, it has a leverage problem. And so that's why we built Theo. What is Theo? It's an AI agent which does the work for MSPs, managed service providers, particularly IT tasks. Our goal is simple with Theo. We want to transform the MSP business with AI and help them do their tasks in a safe way with a significant amount of leverage. A typical MSP is today is stuck in a tough spot. They are a service-based, low-margin business. Expectations from their customers continue to rise. The IT environment that they need to manage is getting more and more complex, specifically with the AI tools that are coming on board. And so what ends up happening is your technicians are spending a lot of time on repetitive and routine tasks, and they don't get any time to work on unsolved problems, etc. And the end result is that the technicians are never able to add more value, and you end up being a low-margin business. So that's where Theo comes in. I think some of these points were covered earlier in the talk, but we really believe that purpose-built AI, vertical AI, we like to call it, is the way to solve some of these problems rather than general-purpose chatbots. So that's what Theo is. We also believe that IT is a mission-critical system, more akin to a self-driving car than it is to a chatbot, and so safety has to be paramount and built into the system. So we really think about human in the loop and safeguards in the system. And most importantly, we think it's really important for the system to continuously learn from users and users' actions, and over time resolve more and more issues. So what are the benefits of Theo? If you are a customer of an MSP, we want to offer you a significantly better experience that results both in higher quality resolutions and faster resolutions. As a technician, you increase your happiness by not doing repetitive, boring tasks, but focus on things that are more interesting and higher value. And as a business owner, clearly the benefit is in being able to create operating leverage in your business by growing your business while keeping your headcount flat-ish. Right? So I'm going to show you Theo in action over here. If the video can play. There you go. So this is what Theo looks like from the technician's perspective. A technician over here is going to try to work on a bunch of tickets in parallel. The first one is a very open-ended ticket. It's that my device is running slow. And so the first thing the technician is going to do is help the AI figure out which device the user might be talking about. And so over here, you use a chat interface to go and provide that device. There you go. So now what Theo did, the first step it did was it showed you what are the steps it's going to take. Think of this as an SOP. And you say, go ahead and do that. All of those tests can take some time, so you don't have to wait. And as a technician, you move on to the next task. This is slightly more well-defined task. There's a compliance audit, which is done every X number of months at a company. Same idea over here. Technician says, go ahead with it. Looks at the SOP, likes it, says continue working, moves on to the next ticket. And then this is like your classic password reset ticket, nothing for the technician to do honestly over here, but just for the purposes of demo, we say, okay, let's go ahead and have the technician initiate the task. And there you go. It's done in like literally 25 seconds. And then now the technician is able to go back to the previous task and see where it's at. And we have found some small issue in the compliance task and has suggested a resolution. And we just go ahead and say, go ahead and resolve that issue. And again, human in the loop to verify that there's no malicious action being taken over here. And then you go go back to the first task, and the same, I think you get the idea by this point that now the technician, instead of working on tasks serially one after another, is able to do multiple tasks in parallel. And the idea over here is that you improve the throughput of technicians 3, 4, 5x, depending on the kind of workloads. Okay, so in terms of Theo, we've been building for a while, and in pilots, and we started to productionize our systems over the last few months. Looks like I'm out of time, so I'll skip this. But real quick about the team, Sahil and myself, the founders of the company, and we've been working on AI systems for a better part of a decade. I mean, we're a seed stage company backed by Slow and South Park amongst other folks. And the final point is, we, in addition to building and selling agents, we also acquire MSPs and operate them ourselves and make them more efficient. So if any of this is interesting, please reach out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And finally, please welcome Larridin. Larridin measures AI adoption and AI fluency, automatically discovers where AI can transform your workflows, and quantifies AI's impact on your business.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? Good afternoon. My name is Joshua Brown, and I'm an account executive here at Larridin. And we are the industry leader in AI measurement and optimization. We were established by decades of experience building digital analytics platforms. We have 17 mil raised backed by Andreessen Horowitz, as well as Gradient, Google's fund. Today, the enterprise is in an existential crisis. We realize that AI is revolutionizing the way in which we work, but it's opaque. We don't have the answers to these questions here. Well, until now. The way in which we're approaching this issue of visibility into AI today is through multiple layers. The first layer being adoption. We're turning the lights on for organizations. We're giving you an understanding of what tools are being used, by who, and then a layer above that is proficiency. So how well is our organization leveraging AI and the tools at their disposal? Ultimately, better understanding how does AI sit within their workflows today, which ties to impact. There's 3 components to the way in which we approach this. Scout is our core platform, which is the measurement of AI adoption and fluency. We're giving you an understanding of proficiency, throughput, reliability, as well as governance. Then we have our AI workflow mapping. And this is going to tell you where are the different friction points in our workflows today. Where can AI and automation help truly get the productivity gains that we expect from our investment? And then lastly, our AI impact measurement, where we're beginning to quantify the actual ROI behind AI. I'm actually going to skip these slides. A case study of ours, when we first went into this organization, there wasn't an understanding of who were the laggards as well as who were the individuals that were true champions of AI. What Larridin was able to do was give them visibility into who's using AI to the best of their ability, and how can you go ahead and replicate that across the organization. Today, the ELT has quarterly fluency scorecard meetings to be able to establish and understand how do we go ahead and get the true gains that we are looking out of our investment. Kind of want to skip through all these so you all can get to the bar. Finally, some of our customers. Ultimately, you saw the questions earlier in the slide, but these are how we're answering it. Spend and risk controls, AI enablement through internal champions, operational redesign, alignment to outcomes, and agent deployments. Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. I'm Junko. I'm a director of partner success here at Plug and Play. So the next partner award, it's always hard to select a partner award, but this time partner award goes to SCSK. Yeah, we've been working with SCSK for almost 7 years. Oh, sorry. And in that time, they've been always eager to learn and have shown great respect to our ecosystem. Especially over the last 2 years, they've made many investments through Plug and Play, and recently they had an announcement with our portfolio unicorn startup, Big ID. And I had a chance to talk to Big ID a couple weeks ago, and then they told me that SCSK is the best partner they have had growing their business in Japan. We look forward to even more closely with SCSK and have more and more great outcomes together. Congratulations.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. My name is Todd, Business Development Lead at SCSK. We are really, truly honored to receive this award. Since 2019, we have been, Plug and Play is a key partner for our open innovation activities. We have had a lot of opportunity to work with outstanding startups like Big ID and Hi-Fi, and creating real business value. And we are also proud to be seen by startup companies as a trusted partner for entering the Japan market. And that means a lot to us. And the achievement wouldn't have happened without the great ecosystem of Plug and Play. So I will try to generate, and I'm looking forward to build as a future together and with you. Thank you so much.
Cool. Thank you, guys. I mean, I'm gonna do this very, very quick. So thank you for staying the full 2 hours for all the corporates. We have happy hour now. If you don't know the location, please let us know, and we will definitely let you know. At the beginning, I said that with the corporates, this summit wouldn't be possible, but with our team, it wouldn't be possible either. So I want to thank every single one of our team, Lakshmi, Amit, Brenda, Junko, Reza, Alde, Nate, Arsam, Rosa, Abira, Sale, Ipsa, because without them, this wouldn't be happening. So thank you very much, and a round of applause to all of them. In terms of what is happening next, we have our summit happening in New York the first week of June. So if any of you are heading to New York Tech Week, feel free to come over. And then the team is also going to Las Vegas the first week of August for an event. If you guys are interested, we do have discount codes. And with that, that's the wrap up. Thank you guys for staying, and see you at the happy hour.